Greetings. Here are the most important updates at this moment. Overall, the Russians used several dozen cruise missiles of various types last night, several dozen attack drones, several loitering jet drones, and up to 10 ballistic missiles of different types. And now, as you can see, we are quickly connecting with Olena Kvitka from Kyiv near the Poltava metro station, where the market has burned down. I know, Kvitka, hello to you. It's just hard to breathe there. What is the scale of the destruction?
Colleagues, good morning once again. Indeed, yes, we are now at Poltava. This is right next to the market where the strike happened, and it wasn't the only one here. I'll talk more about this a bit later, and it's absolutely impossible to stay here because there's such acrid smoke that it burns your eyes, all your mucous membranes, and it's impossible to take a breath because you constantly want to cough. But actually, if we talk about this market, about Poltava, which many people still call Petrovka, because before it was renamed, that was its name, this is an absolutely legendary place. All Kyiv residents know it, and not just them. People used to come here from all over Ukraine because when you said Petrovka, it was synonymous with the idea that you could buy absolutely anything here, from some little trinket found after cleaning out a home storage room to something truly exclusive. Because here they sold everything, from clothes, some household chemicals, antiques, and of course books, since this market was also called the book market. I still remember back in my youth when I was studying, I used to come here for English literature. When we, as university students, were assigned to read something in English, I would buy books here, Agatha Christie, actually. And when there really wasn't any kind of bookstore culture, everyone would come to Petrovka to buy books here. As you can see behind me right now, they are still continuing to deal with the aftermath of these strikes. And, you know, we listened in a bit to the conversations of the state emergency service workers who are working here. Even among themselves, they say things like, I remember buying my very first Pink Floyd record here, and now I walk through those aisles. There's absolutely nothing left there now. As for what happened here, according to the security guard who witnessed everything, the strike was recorded at around 1:20 a.m. As Pavlo Petrov, the spokesperson for the Kyiv State Emergency Service, confirmed to us, there were actually not one, but two impacts here. The fire is now contained despite the fact that all of this is still, well, so to speak, steaming. And this pungent odor of smoke, this burning, it can still be distinctly perceived and felt from a very considerable distance away from this exact location where we are standing. According to the State Emergency Service, one person was injured here. It is a man. And as we were coming to you for the live broadcast, we saw that right now, the people working to eliminate the consequences of the strike here at Poltava are setting up tents so that those who had retail spots here can document the aftermath of this destruction. Colleagues.
Olena Kvitka reporting from the site of the Russian missile or drone strike. It's not clear which, but the market near Poltava metro station has burned down. Thank you, colleague. And in the Sviatoshinsky district of Kyiv, there was a fire after last night's Russian attack on the territory of a garage cooperative. During the firefighting efforts, the body of a deceased person was found. And in Lviv, an apartment building was completely destroyed as a result of a Russian missile attack. A severe fire broke out in the building. The number of injured has risen to 15, 14 of whom are in the hospital, including a rescuer. There may still be people trapped under the rubble. Residents are helping the state emergency service workers clear the debris. Because the stairwell is blocked, people are being evacuated from the damaged 5-story building with the help of a crane. As you can see, a total of 2 apartment buildings in the city have been damaged on Patona and Vyhovskoho streets.
There are already 30 injured in Lviv. 15 people required hospitalization. The city suffered a missile attack last night. According to the mayor, more than 20 residential buildings have been damaged. Several floors have been destroyed in one of the high-rise buildings. A rescue operation is underway there. TSN correspondent Marichka Kuzik is monitoring the situation. We will get all the latest updates from her live. Marichka, so do we know how many people might still be under the rubble and what is the condition of the injured? Please tell us everything you know.
Hello? The rescue operation is still ongoing. There may still be people trapped under the rubble. And just look at the condition of this 5-story building. The upper floors were simply blown away as a result of the strike. The apartments are buried under the roof, walls, and bricks. A father and son were rescued from under the rubble. Among the first to rush to help the victims were a cadet and his relative who live in the neighboring building.
As soon as the explosions happened, we rushed to help. The state emergency service arrived and we worked together. We helped each other climb up. entered through a broken window and searched for the wounded, checking if there were any wounded. Well, that's where the 5th floor is. We pulled 2 people out from there, a boy and his father. Well, they're alive. The father just has a closed fracture, as far as I understood. How old is the boy about? 7, I think, maybe 6. Probably about 6. About 6. Well, just 2 in total, you know.
Near the building are residents waiting for their loved ones to be rescued. The number of injured has already risen to over 30. Some have been hospitalized, while others are receiving medical assistance here on site. Residents say the explosions happened in an instant.
I walked between 2 walls. Literally at that very second the explosion occurred. It was just a second, a minute, well, not even a minute, it was a second.
And everything around started falling, glass, dust. The cat is alive, but she hid under the bathtub. I can't get her out. Overall, 2 residential buildings were severely damaged. More than 20 apartment buildings also suffered damage from the shockwave. 2 kindergartens and a school were also damaged. Dozens of cars are mangled or completely destroyed.
It looks like this was a direct missile hit. In total, 22 missiles were launched. We hope that people are still alive. The rescuers are doing everything possible and impossible. There are a lot of wounded. Well, they're just barbarians. How can you attack a residential building, cut off entire floors? The same situation is happening at other locations.
We are also still waiting for information from medical facilities about the condition of the victims. And the rescue operation continues. We will report on the developments in the next broadcasts. Sviatoslav.
Thank you for the details. We will be waiting for updates. TSN correspondent Marichka Kuzik reporting from Lviv, where a Russian missile destroyed several floors of a residential building. People are currently being rescued from under the rubble. And another 5 people may still be trapped under the ruins of their homes in the village of Radushne. This is already the outskirts of Kryvyi. At night, the Russians struck there with a ballistic missile. Several private houses were destroyed. A large family lived in one of them. At this moment, it is known that 6 people have died, including a 6-year-old girl and boys aged 11, 17 years old, and 3 adults. Another 8 residents, including 2 minors, were injured. An elderly woman is in serious condition. But these numbers are not final. The search and rescue operation is still ongoing here as well. 2 people were killed and 10 injured in Kherson. Among the victims is a child. The day before, Russian occupiers attacked with aviation, artillery, and drones. In the city center, residential buildings were shelled. Several houses were completely destroyed, many others were damaged, including by fire, and social infrastructure was also affected. In the Poltava region, an enemy drone struck the warehouses of an enterprise. 1 person did not survive. The Russians also attacked a postal operator's terminal. There was a raging fire there. Girls aged 10 and 13, as well as a 61-year-old woman, were injured in an enemy drone attack on the residential sector of Kyiv. This is the Sumy region. The Russians also targeted people's homes, gas stations, and energy facilities in other communities of this region. There are widespread power outages in the region. In Kyiv, 1 person was killed and 2 were injured as a result of a nighttime Russian attack. A 31-year-old man was killed, and 2 others, aged 30 and 53, were wounded according to the Kyiv police. In the Sviatoshinsky district, debris falling caused a fire on the grounds of a garage cooperative. During the firefighting operation, the deceased was found there. Also in the capital, the well-known book market at Pochayina caught fire. Explosions in Kyiv occurred at the beginning of the 2nd hour of the night, and the air raid alert lasted almost until 7 in the morning. And, as has become customary, tens of thousands of Kyiv residents spent the night at metro stations. There were so many people that there wasn't enough space for everyone in the subway. And we have new details about the air raid alert in Poland. The operational command of the armed forces reported that fighter jets were scrambled and an aerial object fell. The media are reporting a powerful explosion and a crater at the site. According to official data, at 3:40 a.m., an unidentified object was detected in Polish airspace. An F-16 fighter jet was sent to intercept it, but just a few minutes later, the object disappeared. The crash site was found in the village of Tarnowa Kolonia, just about 50 kilometers from Lublin. A search and rescue team was dispatched to the scene, and residents of Lublin were awakened by an air raid alert. Lublin is located not far from the Ukrainian border. a massive attack on Ukraine. Throughout the night, Russian occupiers launched several waves of cruise missiles from strategic aviation aircraft and drones across the entire country. Kyiv, Kryvyi and Dnipro were subjected to ballistic attacks. In the capital, the air raid alert lasted for about 6 hours. In some regions, it is still ongoing. In Kryvyi 6 people were killed, including 2 children. 8 people were injured. According to the Kyiv City Military Administration, 1 fatality has been confirmed in the capital. As has become customary, tens of thousands of Kyiv residents spent the night at metro stations. There were so many people that not everyone could find space in the subway. In Lviv, 2 apartment buildings were damaged as a result of a missile attack. At present, it is known that 5 people have been injured and require hospitalization. People remain trapped under the rubble of the building on Poltava Street. There are fires at the impact sites, which are complicating the work of rescuers. Residents are helping to clear the debris. Due to the closure of Poltava Street, public transport in Lviv is operating with changes. Last night, the air raid siren sounded even in Lublin, Poland. According to the local publication Courier Lubelski, fighter jets were scrambled into the sky. On social media, residents are posting videos of the sirens and wrote that they saw an unidentified object. There is currently no more detailed information about what it was. Another war crime by the Russians. At night, they struck the outskirts of Kryvyi with ballistic missiles. Several private houses were destroyed. One of them was home to a large family. At this moment, it is known that 6 people have been killed. These are 2 girls, 5 and 12 years old, as well as 4 adults. 8 people, including children, have been injured. And these numbers are not final, as the search and rescue operation is still ongoing. People are also being searched for under the rubble in Lviv. There, emergency workers are inspecting 2 residential apartment buildings damaged by enemy strikes. In one of the buildings, the upper floors have been completely destroyed. The number of victims has already risen to 15. 14 of the injured required hospitalization. At the site of the strike, rescuers were extinguishing fires. In the nearby buildings, the blast wave shattered the windows. 2 people were killed and 10 injured in Kherson. The day before, Russian occupiers attacked with aircraft, artillery, and drones. In the city center, residential buildings were shelled. Several houses were completely destroyed. Many others were damaged, including by fire, and social infrastructure was also damaged. In the Poltava region, an enemy drone struck the warehouses of an enterprise. 1 person did not survive. The Russians also attacked the postal operator's terminal. A fire was raging there. 3 women and 2 men were injured as a result of shelling in the Nikopol district of Dnipropetrovsk region. Residential buildings, a shopping center, vehicles, and infrastructure were damaged. The Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine lost an F-16 fighter jet the day before. This happened during a combat mission to intercept enemy aerial targets in one of the frontline directions. According to preliminary information, an emergency situation occurred on board the aircraft. The pilot ejected. The pilot is now safe. He was successfully evacuated and taken to a medical facility. Experts and law enforcement officers are working at the site of the plane crash. No civilian casualties or destruction have been reported. This was reported by the Air Force. Dozens of foreign components are still being found in Russian drones and missiles. And often this is weaponry that was manufactured last year or even this year, according to the Office of the President. For example, the Banderole UAV, which the enemy uses daily to attack civilian infrastructure, contains parts from the United States, Japan, Switzerland, South Korea, and even Australia. And of course from China. The supply of some components can be stopped through joint sanctions efforts with our partners, and this is evident from the fact that in the new UAVs used by the occupiers are looking for substitutes for certain elements. But when it comes to missiles, says the President's Commissioner for Sanctions Policy, things are much more complicated. In Iskander missiles, there are reportedly even more foreign components than Russian or Belarusian ones. To obtain them, Russia uses third countries. Therefore, with stricter sanctions, such missiles simply would not fly or would be produced in much smaller quantities, Ukrainian officials emphasize. The only missiles that contain no parts except Russian or Belarusian ones are those produced by Radushne. Although the technology there is outdated, it remains deadly. Partners are being urged to strengthen controls over the resale of electronics. In Ukraine, a database is being compiled on components and serial numbers so that it is possible to determine where they came from and when they ended up in Russia.
Everything we see coming in means that it is not enough. Is it just a matter of sanctions policy? Not necessarily. This, I think, also involves the work of law enforcement agencies, as well as the compliance of financial institutions that process the relevant transactions. It is also the internal control of the respective manufacturers, so there are many components involved here. Everyone knows what needs to be done, but for some reason, not everyone does it.
Farewells were held in their home villages for the two Victorias who were killed by the Russians in a Chernihiv supermarket. The attack happened in the middle of the day this Sunday. 25 people were injured and 2 could not be saved. 9-year-old Victoria Serebnyuk, along with her mother and grandmother, was out shopping for a desk for school, according to the village council. They stopped by the supermarket for groceries, including items for the girl's birthday. She was supposed to turn 10 on August 6th. The grandmother was waiting in the car when a jet-powered drone crashed into the market. The schoolgirl's mother ran out of the burning building, but not finding her daughter, she went back inside. She carried the girl out of the fire, but the injuries were incompatible with life. They also remember 23-year-old Victoria Orek, as always smiling, sincere, and creative. The young woman and her mother had also come shopping. Family and friends say she dreamed of a happy life with her beloved, and they were making plans for the future. Both Victoria's mothers sustained injuries and wounds.